Here are the details now. Several water bodies and farmlands in the Bosomtwe district of the Ashanti region have been destroyed by small-scale illegal miners. The illegal miners, for instance, have polluted the river at Brodekwano that used to serve the local people. A report by Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin.
The increasing number of illegal mining activities in the Bosomtwe district is alarming. Signs of environmental destruction left behind by galamsey activities is an eyesore. Illegal small-scale mining has produced enormous waste that would have detrimental impact on communities for years. For instance, water bodies and farmlands have been destroyed, depriving hundreds of their livelihoods. Rivers here in the past served as a source of life for the local communities. It is no longer the situation. Residents now struggle to get potable water for domestic chores. Though the district assembly has constructed some boreholes, it is unable to supply adequate water for residents. General economic activities are under threat. Several hectares of farmland have been destroyed in the search for gold. Cracks and open pits left uncovered, threatening lives of residents in the local communities. Though authorities of the district have boasted of getting rid of illegal miners, it is a different picture on the ground. Huge equipment continue to dig deep into the earth in search of gold. An operator of one of the excavators could not disclose who he was working for. Here at Beposo, along the main road to Atafram, our camera captured devastation caused by illegal mining activities. Several mining equipment captured here were parked because it was a Tuesday, a day illegal miners do not work. The district NADMO coordinator said school-going children have now abandoned school in search of gold. Raphael Anani John said these illegal miners work deep in the forest where it is difficult to access. He is worried illegal mining activity, if not checked, would end up polluting the Bosomtwe Lake.
They are destroying the community's farms, especially the cocoa farms and plantain farms. And also they have destroyed or polluted the water, the river bodies that the communities are using. And because of that, they don't get water, enough water. And also, it has affected a school-going age group, especially the basic schools. That's child labor. They serve as child labor. They have been killing loads on the soil.
The district chief executive, Veronica Entry Ejay, is however hopeful activities of illegal miners will be brought under control.
I formed a task force and we went there. This task force comprised of NADMO, BNI, immigration and policemen in the district. We went there and we met them, so when the moment they saw us, they all ran away from the scene. And we gathered all the apparatus, their working tools to the office, which I'm keeping it now. So I'm still surprised that 3 days ago I heard in news that galamsey people have captured the whole Bosomtwe area. I don't know actually where they have started digging their so-called galamsey again.
She added her outfit would protect the district from the illegal mining and called on community leaders to help fight the canker.
Traders at the Nkrakai market in the Yulo Krobo municipality of the Eastern region have demonstrated against the destruction of their tables. According to them, there is inadequate space in the market and are compelled to sell along the streets. The assembly, however, says it will not allow the traders to sell outside the market, but will destroy infrastructure along the street.
The Nkrakan market was constructed by the Yulo Krobo Municipal Assembly and rehabilitated in 2011. It is the second largest after Agomenya, being a municipal market. Traders complain of inadequate space, compelling them to sell on tabletops along the streets of the municipality. They complain there are no proper stores or structures at the market, as a result of which traders are left at the mercy of the weather. This is what led to the traders' protest, asking the assembly to treat traders at the Nkrakan market in the same way as those from other parts of the municipality. The Yilo Krobo Municipal Chief Executive, Andrew Soda, in response said the assembly has constructed market stalls for the traders so that they will no more trade on the streets. He expressed worry at the refusal of traders to move into the structures put up for them. According to the MCE, the heavy police presence is not to intimidate them, but to ensure that traders do not trade on the streets. The Queen of Nkrakan, Manyedede Ahude, urged the traders who have been given stalls to use them to enable the assembly know those who do not have. Haruna Yusuf Wumpini's report from the Eastern region.
About 100 workers of some timber firms in Kumasi have been rendered homeless after a temporary structure they occupied was razed by fire. Timely intervention by personnel of the National Fire Service prevented the fire from causing more damage. But the devastated occupants, who are mainly squatters, believe the fire was triggered by naked fire, which may have come into contact with fuel from one of the rooms. External Fire Officer Dominic Kumi of the Chiapatre Station, who led the operation to put out the fire, appeals to the public to adopt the new fire service information contact rather than resorting to the non-functioning old 999. Ghanaians are also advised to be circumspect when they are handling fire, especially when they keep fuel in the house. Well, calm has returned to Kenya and its surrounding communities after yesterday's peaceful demonstration, which turned violent. Meanwhile, organizers of the demonstration, made up of assemblymen, say they have not regretted organizing the protest. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin reports.
At about 8 on Tuesday morning, residents had already returned to their daily economic activities. At the Kenya CDA cluster of school, which was closed down due to the violence, most pupils were absent from school for fear of another violence. The assistant head teacher Michael Abuajidakon described the actions of the police as abysmal. The assemblymen of the area insisted they would stage demonstrations every 3 months if the roads are not rehabilitated. The district chief executive for Kwabre East has been accused of being insensitive to the needs of the constituents. Adams Idisa, however, debunked the allegation and promised the road will be fixed by the end of the year.
Well, here are some news in brief. A group within the People's National Convention, PNC, has accused the leadership of failing to account for 1.6 million Ghana cedis of the party's 2012 election campaign funds. Convention Forum, in a statement signed by coordinator Atani Adam, said it wants to bring to the notice of the party and its sympathizers, as well as Ghanaians, that their pain and regret following the failure of the party's leadership to retrieve a whopping sum of 1.6 million Ghana cedis of campaign funds donated to the party in the 2012 general elections. Policy think tank Imani Ghana has been dragged before the Specialized Social Security and National Insurance Trust SNIT court for the non-payment of contribution of its workers. A source at SNIT told reporters that a writ of summons has been served on Imani Ghana at its Legon offices. The details of the summons are not clear, but the source says Imani Ghana is expected to put in an appearance this Saturday at the court. The executive director of Imani Ghana, Franklin Kujo, who confirmed the summons, however, said the issue is a red herring. Merchant Bank will begin auctioning assets of Maroc Food Processing Company Limited as the bank initiates moves to recover debts owned by the company. Maroc Food Processing Company Limited was dragged to court by Merchant Bank over the debt 2 years ago. A fast-track High Court on 6 June last year ruled in favor of Merchant Bank over the matter. And finally, Otunfo Seitutu II has arrived in Kumasi from South Africa. He was in South Africa for a routine medical checkup and holidays. His few weeks of absence from Ghana sparked on social media a viral wave of death rumor. The Menhia Palace had to come out to deny the rumors of Otumfuo's death. Let's go to Parliament now. Ghanaians have been urged to take responsibility for their health by avoiding lifestyles which induce diseases like cancer. The Member of Parliament for Finso North made the call on the floor of the House in the commemoration of World Cancer Day.
The Member of Parliament for Finso North, Augustine Collinson-Tim, was concerned about the rising cases of cancerous diseases which he attributed to lifestyle.
I want to appeal to Ghanaians to be responsible for their health by avoiding lifestyle-induced diseases like poor eating habits, excessive alcohol, sexual immorality.
Majority Chief Whip and MP for Asawase was worried about the rate at which children are being affected by the disease which was previously regarded as a disease for older people.
Mr. Speaker, we have reduced our children to just learning tools. Why am I saying so, Mr. Speaker? You close at 3:30, you are supposed to have extra classes. They virtually don't even get time to do the basic sporting activities that we used to see when many of us were in school. I mean, inter-primary school competition, the JSS competition, the senior high. We need to intensify this.
MP for Menhia South, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, called on the Speaker to use his office to ensure the Minister of Health comes up with a preventive plan.
The Honourable Member for Finso North has made a very, very good intervention with this statement. And I think that you use your good office to direct the Ministry of Health to come up with a policy addressing non-communicable diseases that is currently the number one killer. Gone are the days when infectious diseases like malaria was killing us more. Now we are dying more of the diabetes and hypertension and the cancers, giving us strokes and heart attacks very early in our lives.
Sitting continues tomorrow.
Still in Parliament, the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament has requested the Select Committee on Rails and Transport to investigate and report to the House on the University of Ghana's decision to charge tolls on its roads. Ebobatin Odro, referring the matter to the committee, also asked the Committee on Education to support the investigations and present the report in 2 weeks.
The matter was first raised by the Member of Parliament for Menhia South, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, for the consideration of the House.
July 29, when the University of Ghana bill was debated, Mr. Speaker, this issue arose and honourable members commented on. So, with your indulgence, I'd like to speak on that.
The Majority Leader, Dr. Benjamin Kumbo, then updated the House on the committee's plan on the matter.
Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, the convention in this House has been that not until a specific referral is made to a committee, the committee cannot on its own conduct investigations and report to this House. In that regard, if Mr. Speaker can reinforce what the committee is already doing by having it properly referred to them and reported to this House, I think it will not be out of the ordinary. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
So I would want to direct that the matter be sent to the Roads Committee so that they seriously go into it and then submit a report to this House for its action.
Earlier, the Vice Chairman of the committee informed Joynews the committee has already begun investigations into the matter, and as a result, all the stakeholders involved have been invited to face the committee. The meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, February 5 at 11 a.m. in Parliament. Meanwhile, the Western Housing Committee on Tuesday held a first preliminary meeting with the TDC on the Ajekojo demolition exercise. The committee has 2 weeks to present its report.
Meanwhile, the university authorities have reviewed the charges for the toll which started on Saturday. Under the review, students are to access the university without paying road tolls, but the Student Representative Council said they are yet to receive official notification to that effect.
The authorities of the University of Ghana on Saturday started charging road tolls on vehicles using the university roads. The university said it must charge the tolls to pay for a loan it contracted to refurbish and reconstruct roads within the campus. Private vehicles were to pay 1 cedi, while commercial vehicles had to pay 2 cedis for using the university roads. Big trucks were to pay 3 cedis. But after a public debate and students' agitation over the legality of the decision, school authorities decided to review the tolling system, exempting students from paying road tolls. According to the SRC Vice President Kwame Asari Entry, the decision to review the tolls was disclosed at an emergency closed-door meeting between school authorities and the Student Representative Council on Monday, 3rd February 2014.
Students have been given full exemption after the student has complied with Article 18, subsection 1 of the University Handbook, which requires all students using private vehicles to get them registered. So these students, having gone through the registration process, won't pay a penny for the tolls. They'll be given that free entry. The university management promised they were going to meet the taxi drivers, and this is the assurance they gave us, that they will ensure that not a peswa will be added to the already existing taxi fares. These cars also use the roads and they are being charged 2 cedi. So still at the end of the day, the cost will be passed on to the students.
Commercial drivers who were supposed to pay 400 Ghana cedis for a year will now pay 100 Ghana cedis. But students say it is not enough and it will affect the cost of living on campus. The students are asking university authorities to exempt taxis operating on the campus, since it will have a direct impact on their finances.
Although the propositions have been accepted by university management, we are yet to see the full implementation of these propositions, and that is what we are waiting for. We had 15 shuttles will start work tomorrow for the pilot test. We are waiting for that. Until then, like we said, so we have intimated that from now to 11th of February, if we've not seen the implementation and the fourth consideration has not also been looked into, the students are ready to move onto the street for the chair demonstration.
Toll booth operators were busy collecting tolls from drivers using the university roads.
You're watching the Primetime Bulletin on Joynews and on ABN TV. When we return, politics and some more news. Please stay. You're welcome back and many thanks for staying. Now, the New Patriotic Party, Ghana's biggest opposition party, has rescheduled its impending National Delegate Congress to a later date. The Congress to elect national executives, which was slated for March 1st, 2014, will now take place on April 12. Acting Communications Director Perry Okujeto spoke to Joynews after the meeting.
At a meeting this afternoon at Alisa Hotel of the National Council of the New Patriotic Party. The National Council is the second highest decision-making body in the party. The first highest decision-making body is the National Annual Delegates Conference. So you would have noticed in the media, especially a certain back and forth about the regionalizing of our annual National Delegates Conference and national executive elections for the 2012 period. The issue was the reason why the National Council meeting was called. At the meeting, it was put to a discussion, and at the end of the discussion, the consensus was that party members or members of the National Council thought that it was prudent for us to hold the elections at a centralized venue. Discussions then went into where to hold such elections. Our brothers from the north, the 3 northern regions, made a strong appeal to the leadership of the party to hold the elections in the northern region, precisely in Tamale. One, because we have not so far held a National Delegates Conference in the northern region, and 2, in memory of the late former Vice President Alhaji Aliyu Mahama. It was agreed on by the meeting. Another thing that was agreed on was that the tenure of office of the current executive would have expired on the 28th of February this year. And therefore, that is why the date of the 1st of March was fixed in order to just hand over after the election. That being the case, an extension, was made to the mandate of the current national executive until after the new elections. So we have fixed the new date for the election, which is the 12th of April, and the venue is Tamale in the northern region, and also the mandate of the current national executive have been extended until the elections are held. Present at the meeting were former President Kufuor, the minority leader, our Deputy Speaker, Joe Gate, and other members of the National Council.
The National Health Insurance Authority is considering contracts with members of the pharmacy chamber so its officials can supply drugs at a discount rate. The Health Insurance Authority contends since they buy over 80% of drugs supplied at the various hospitals from the chamber, there was a need for officials to facilitate a roadmap to resolve the challenges with delayed payment.
On Monday, February 3, the Ghana Pharmacy Chamber threatened to stop supplying medicines to hospitals working with the National Health Insurance Scheme due to delayed payment of claims.
Sometimes you have to go for bank overdraft and loans in order to bridge the funding gap because you have your money locked up somewhere. And as you try to sustain operations, you have to go for loans, overdraft, and sometimes more credit from your supplier. In the interim, we are looking at making full payment so that the capital and the money's lockup, in terms of they will not unduly be affected by some of the microeconomic indicators I talk about, interest rates, inflation, and more importantly, the depreciation of the cedi.
Though the current problem seems to have been resolved, there's still some challenges with the pharmaceutical supply chain. Medicines in Ghana within the context of claims payment account for well over 52% of the National Health Insurance Scheme claims payment, according to officials of the NHIA. For some health service providers, there are serious challenges in procuring drugs to serve their clients as the delay in payment claims hinders the medicine supply chain, thereby affecting business negatively.
When you are buying from the suppliers, it's normally within 60 to 90 days. You have to settle them and then maybe get a new supply. But if you are going to render service and then 4 months down the lane you are not paid, as a private institution, it puts a lot of pressure on you. You will have to look for other funds to make sure that you render quality health care.
But the communications manager of the Health Insurance Authority, Salom Adonu, said the authority is considering entering into negotiations with the pharmacy chamber to find a lasting solution to the problem.
If we are one of their major clients, then we think that we have to engage them on that, and that is what we are doing. And a lot of talk has gone into that already. We only hope that we will begin to see the fruits in the coming. The medicines really is a big cost driver. 51% of our entire claims we pay go into medicines, and that is huge. So if we're able to deal with some of these matters, I think the pressure will come down a bit.
Going forward, he also advised service providers to submit claims on time so as to help in the processing of claims.
Still on health, about 12.4% of Africa's 800 million plus inhabitants will develop cancer before the age of 75, according to a statement by the World Health Organization at the launch of this year's World Cancer Day. The risk increases with age.
According to the statement, about 90% of cancer cases are expected to occur after the age of 40. Cancer is a public health problem that kills many people. In 2012, an estimated 8.2 million people died from cancer worldwide, 65% of which were from less developed countries. In Ghana, 2,260 patients are recorded annually, with 1,121 deaths.
Okay, I think it's because we are adopting a lot of Western lifestyles. So the foods that we are eating, some of it is very unhealthy. We are not taking enough fruits and vegetables. Also, tobacco use. Tobacco is a high risk factor for cancer. And also increased alcohol intake. Physical inactivity. A lot of us, we don't do any exercises. So all these things, if we are able to take advantage of them, it reduces our risk for cancer.
The WHO's World Cancer Report 2014 said the major sources of preventable cancer include smoking, infections, alcohol, obesity and inactivity, radiation both from the sun and medical scans, air pollution and other environmental factors. Delayed parenthood and having fewer children and not breastfeeding are also major sources of preventable cancer. For most countries, breast cancer is the most common cancer in women. However, cervical cancer dominates in large parts of Africa. Minister of Health, Sherry Aite, tells Joynews her ministry will do its best to create more awareness about communicable diseases.
We must also try very hard to avoid tobacco use. We must limit our alcohol intake, and especially for the women, please, black is beautiful. So let's say black. We must stop bleaching our skin and our faces. It's not only women who bleach their skins, men also bleach their faces. So please, Ghanaians, black is beautiful. So try and stop using bleaching creams, because these bleaching creams, most of them contain mercuric base, which with the ultraviolet rays of the sun, over a period of time, acts on your skin, then you develop all kinds of cancers.
Breast cancer is increasing in the developing world due to increase in life expectancy, increase in urbanization, and adoption of Western lifestyles. Meanwhile, the 2014 World Cancer Day has been launched by the Ghana Health Service in collaboration with the Cancer Society of Ghana.
And to the presidency now, a delegation sent on behalf of the royal family of Apaseyelong of Atulba today met with President John Mahama to officially announce the death of Naba Martin Adongo Abelba III, paramount chief of Bolga traditional area. He died on the 26th of September 2013 after a short illness. Naba Martin Adongo Abelba III, during his reign as paramount chief, did his best to uplift the traditional area through education. He introduced the Bolgatanga Area Girl Child Education Fund, which supported the girl child, and also abolished certain traditional practices which are no longer in tune with modern trends. Now, these included female genital mutilation, for which he was recognized by the United Nations. The chief of Yoroko, Naba Awuni Azibre Johnson, spokesperson for the delegation, stated that the eldest son of the former paramount chief, Raymond Alafia Abelba, has been appointed as regent for the Bolgatanga skin.
Added my voice to the Director of State Protocol in apologizing for the very long time you had to wait before this meeting took place. It was because of an emergency meeting we're holding earlier in the morning with the Governor of the Bank and the Minister of Finance. But let me say, the news you bring is a confirmation of the sad news we had heard already, and we're hoping that it wasn't true, but
we'll be right back.
So here's where we update you with reports in the world of business. I'm Abigail Adumakwenchi. Now, government has no money to give to the National Food and Buffer Stock Company. The Agricultural Minister, Clement Kofi Humadu, disclosed legislative processes are, however, underway to privatize the company and to set up a commodity exchange system.
The National Food and Buffer Stock Company's mandate is basically to buy farm produce from farm gates as ready markets for farmers and to also store up food for emergency purposes. But the organization has recently decried its 15 million cedi seed capital with which it has operated since 2010.
We lack warehousing, silos that were handed over, and the drying sites that are needed for grain management and conditioning are in a woeful state. Okay, most of the warehouses are run down and need to be rehabilitated.
They are expecting a major capital injection from government.
We are supposed to be making profits, but it is quite marginal. We are there to help in disaster management. We are there to help in relief operations with our stocks. I mean, if as a nation we are really serious about having a working and food reserve agency, then I don't think this is the way to go about it. I'll say that under the circumstances we are doing our best, but we could do better if we are better resourced financially.
The Agric Minister, Clement Homado, says that will not happen.
We as government don't have any more money to give NAFCO. Either they open up for private participation and capital injection, or they participate in the the commodity exchange, or both. We hope that by early next year, we should be able to establish the commodity exchange. And that will take care of most of the problems we are having now, because NAFCO will become one of the license buying agencies. We will also accredit other license buying agencies to be mopping up grains from the rural areas. If NAFCO, for example, opens itself up that they want to be part of the commodity exchange and they need private sector participation, I tell you, people will put their money there.
Under the new commodity exchange system, which Ghana seeks to copy from Ethiopia, representatives of both farmers and buyers will negotiate prices, make payment and take delivery of the produce.
Yeah. And as soon as the deals are concluded, the buyers put the money down and the sellers make an offer and it goes. So you don't have grains stuck in warehouses for a long time. It's moving, and as soon as it's moving, others are replacing it. So
Government believes this will resolve the financial predicament of the buffer stock company. Currently, the buffer stock company has no budgetary allocation. Gifty Andopea, Joynews, Accra.
Well, away from Agric, the Ghana Gas Company has signed an agreement with Tullow Ghana Limited to help transport raw gas from Jubilee Field to the gas processing plant at Etwabo. Chief Executive Dr. George Sipayanki said the agreement is evidence of his outfit's commitment towards the timely completion of the gas infrastructure project. General Manager of Tullow, Charles Darko, is confident the remaining works on the infrastructure project will be completed soon. Haulage services at the various ports in the country have come to a virtual standstill as haulage drivers have embarked on a sit-down strike to protest the new axle road regulation. The drivers are against the 60-ton loading limit directed by the Ghana Highway Authority. According to them, it will collapse their business. General Secretary of the Coalition of Haulage Transport Union, Salia Adams, tells Joy Business they will back down on the action only when they receive favorable response from government. Mr. Adams also says how the sit-down strike will affect businesses. He is aware and that activities at the ports would also be affected. In other news, the country might be forced to sign the Economic Partnership Agreement. This follows an agreement reached between ECOWAS and EU last month to initiate the pact. The economic grouping at a high-level meeting at Senegal last month agreed to establish a 6.5 billion euros to take care of the expected revenue losses associated with the agreement. They also agreed to offer 75% linearization of West African markets over 20 years. Ghana in 2007 initialed partial EPA to have continuous access to the EU market. The agreement seeks to allow countries like Ghana have 100% access to the European market except for rice and sugar, whilst EU countries will have 80% access to the Ghanaian market duty-free and quota-free. Ghana and Ivory Coast are the only countries in the region that have signed the interim EPA. Nigeria doesn't want to sign the EPA but put on different agreements called the General Specialized Preference Plus. To some international business, technology giant Microsoft has said Satya Nadella will succeed Steve Ballmer as its next chief executive. Mr. Nadella is currently Microsoft's head of cloud and enterprise, which builds and runs the firm's computing platforms and developer tools. Leaders from a range of industries are rumored to have been considered for the post. Bill Gates is moving to another role at Microsoft. And that'll be all by way of business reports. I'm Abigail Adumakwenchi. More news is up.
Tonight's sports with some very good news for the Ghana Premier League, because First Capital Plus, a Ghanaian bank, has signed up as sponsor for the Ghana Premier League. The 5-year deal with $10,000 million awards First Capital Plus the title headline sponsor of the league. According to the GFA, the deal with the bank for the sponsorship of the Premier League will commence from the 2014-2015 football season. President of the FA, Kwesi Nyanteji, expressed his outfit's delight at the sponsorship.
Although it's for life, the initial tenure is for 5 years for us to experiment and wait and see, though marriages are not for experimentation. We are very delighted about this relationship, and we would like to congratulate the board, management and staff of First Capital Plus Bank for agreeing to sponsor the Ghana Premier League. That decision, I believe, is born out of a good management, good leadership and foresight on the part of the management and board of the bank. As you are no doubt aware, Ghanaians are very passionate about football, and anyone who decides to support and sponsor football is supporting the passion of this country. The Ghana Premier League has been in existence for a long time, but for the first half of this season, we went without a sponsor. The partnership with First Capital Plus Bank is therefore a timely one.
All right, so it's no more the Ghana Premier League. It's the First Capital Plus Premier League. Let's keep that running on. And with some more news on the Premier League, our former Premier League champions, Brecum Chelsea, have abandoned plans of pulling out of the 2014 CAF Champions League after an initial threat to withdraw as a result of financial troubles. Brecum Chelsea have abandoned plans of pulling out of the 2014 CAF Champions League and confirmed they are ready to host their first qualifying round opponent. Joy Sports understands the club have received assurances from their sponsors and can now entertain FC Adlabara of South Sudan. Brecum Chelsea would also be cushioned by $20,000 financial support received from the Ghana Football Association. Brecum Chelsea's coffers have dried after President Emmanuel relocated to Canada. The club made a huge impact on their debut in Africa 2 years ago and reached the group stage of the 2012 CAF Champions League. Let's do a bit from the international front. And actually in Africa, Cape Verde have lost the appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sport over FIFA ruling, which resulted in them kicked out of the World Cup qualifying competition. Cape Verde, who beat Tunisia 2-0 to finish top of African Group B, forfeit of the match after FIFA ruled Fernando Varela had been ineligible to play. Tunisia were awarded a 3-0 win, which puts them top of the group and into the playoff round in Cape Verde's place. CAS said Cape Verde's appeal was unfounded. Varela was banned for 4 matches after being sent off in an earlier Group B game against Equatorial Guinea, which Cape Verde lost 4-3. That result itself was overturned, and the game was awarded to Cape Verde 3-0 after FIFA ruled that Equatorial Guinea's Emilio Insu, who scored a hat-trick, was not eligible to play. Cape Verde argued that the red card and subsequent ban should not have counted, as the match had been declared void. They appealed to FIFA, but football's world governing body upheld its decision. It's a wrap for sports. My name is George Addy Jr. Gifty joins us with some more. Have a good night.
Sports was brought to you.
Welcome to Showbiz. Now, people associated with Showbiz have several visions for the industry, but they're usually very reluctant to share for fear of wasting their time. But known for his love for the creative arts, Uncle Ebo White, the popular playwright, has been sharing his vision and ideas for the growth of Ghana's showbiz industry.
Okay, so you want a gospel song?
Known for numerous plays such as The Last Flight and Men Run, Women Cry, Uncle Ebo has been credited with reviving theatre, which many considered to have fizzled out. From his creative and inspirational storylines to his strict adherence to time when staging a production, Uncle Ebo can really be said to be setting standards for the Ghanaian entertainment industry. But what is he really hoping to achieve with the new standards he seems to be setting for the industry?
Banking, telecom, everything, transportation, we loosen all of it. We loosen all of it. The question is, would we also lose the arts? I'd like to see a nation, a country where there is a production or an exhibition every day of the week somewhere. Every day of the week. Not bourgeois production, world-class production and performance. We have the ability, we have the passion to do it. Why is it not happening? I have a dream that our creative industry will be so powerful, so vibrant, that 1 in 10 Ghanaian would work in that industry.
With his vision for the entertainment industry clearly spelled out, the question is, are we really giving the industry the attention it needs? Are we still going to ride on the same wings that have always let us down, or would we take advantage of the new year and help put some of Uncle Ebo's vision to work? Or would we sit and watch the showbiz industry go down? The answer ultimately lies with us. We can choose to take a step to bring about change or be indifferent and watch our vibrant entertainment industry collapse.
That's it for Showbiz. It's a wrap for the news. Before we go, though, a recap of the top stories. Now, several water bodies and farmlands in the Bosomtwe district of the Ashanti region have been destroyed by illegal small-scale mining. The first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Ebo Batunudro, has asked the Roads Committee of Parliament to investigate the decision of the University of Ghana to charge tolls on its roads. Calm has returned to Kenyase in the Ashanti region after yesterday's violence, but residents vowed they would continue to demonstrate unless the roads are fixed. In business, government said it will privatize the National Food Buffer Stock Company. Agric Minister Clement Umado, who disclosed this, said legislative processes are underway to also set up a commodity. I am Gifty and Apia. We do appreciate your time. Many thanks for staying. But up next is PM Express with Nana and Sakwa. Do enjoy the rest of the evening.